Hi everyone. So this idea is similar to the addressing in the Ethernet world where you need a MAC address. So I suppose that you already know that a MAC address is the physical address of the network interface, and every network interface has a unique MAC address in the world. So the same thing is needed in the fiber channel world or in the SAN fabric. So a server needs to know the address to a SAN storage to be able to reach it and communicate with it. So in this lecture, we will learn about the fiber channel addressing and the zoning. So what's the fiber channel address? It's called the WWN, or the worldwide name. So a HBA card has a unique identifier or a unique name, similar to the idea of the MAC address, but this is assigned to the entire card. So the card has a WWN. It could also be called WWNN, stands for node name. So the node name here could refer to the card itself or to the entire device. So some devices, some SAN storage systems have a single address for the entire device. As in network switches, you have a MAC address for the entire switch, apart from the MAC addresses of each port. Okay. There is also another type of addresses, which is the WWPN, or port name. So each port, each fiber channel port has a port name, has its own unique identifier or its own unique address. So again, the card, the HBA card, has a global address similar to that one. Okay, so these octets here refer to the, or assigned to, a specific vendor. Okay, and these octets here refer to it's like a serial number of the card, not of the product, but I mean the serial address of the card. So this card is assigned that address. Okay, and each port here has its own WWPN, and in some cases it's serial, in a serial like this. So it might be similar. So the WWN might be similar in some models to the port names. Some other cases no. But again, so these addresses are used for the communication over the fiber channel fabric, and it's used also for the zoning in the SAN switches, and we will learn about zoning and land masking in the coming slides. Let's move forward. Okay, so what is an initiator and what is a target? So an initiator is the device that requires to access a storage system, which is a server in our case. So you need to remember these terms. And what is a target? It's the target storage device, which is the SAN storage device, okay, or maybe another server that is serving block storage services. So a target, again, is a storage target or storage device. So these terms are used in the configuration, and we will learn more about them when it comes to when we watch the demos of the SAN switches and the SAN storage systems. Nice. So zoning. What is zoning? Again, zoning is similar to the or a zone. It's similar to the VLAN concept in the Ethernet world, but here it's in the SAN world. It's called, or in SAN fabric, it's called zoning. So you need to create a zone in a switch to allow a specific server to access a specific SAN storage system. So again, you could use a default zone in your switch to allow all of the ports to access everything connected to that switch or other switches in the switch fabric. Okay, but again, it's better to use zoning for better performance and for security purposes, because in some cases, or maybe in your organization, it's required that you isolate the storage traffic. Okay, so in case we want server A to access storage SAN storage A, then we create a zone. We give it a name that allows only server A to access storage A. So server A, in this case, will not be able to access any of the other SAN storage systems. And it's also possible to create a zone for multi-initiators. So as you can see here, multi-initiators in this zone could access storage B. You could also create a big zone that has all of the storage systems as well as all of the initiators, but it's not so recommended, and you should be following the best practices according to the vendor you are having the hardware from. Great, so there is another term also, which is the LAN masking. It could be called LAN masking, LAN mapping, or maybe LAN binding. It depends on the storage system you're using. Okay, so again, here in this view for zoning, so zone allows a server to access a specific SAN storage across the SAN switch, which is great. Okay, so now you are allowed, the SAN switch allows you to access a SAN storage. But this doesn't mean that you will be allowed to access all of the storage there. No. There's another type of configuration, or there's another layer of configuration that should be done on the SAN storage side to allow a specific server or host or an initiator to access certain LANs according to your preferences. So on your SAN storage, you will need to register a host. This task or this process is called registering a host, registering an initiator, where you add the WWPNs or the WWNN of a host to a list in the SAN storage. So a LAN masking or a LAN mapping or a LAN binding, I will call it LAN mapping. Okay, so LAN mapping, it's similar to an access control list or a firewall policy, okay, where you include a specific server or servers maybe, and then you allow them through that list, through that mapping, okay, to have access to specific LANs to be able to read and write from them. So a LAN mapping is that action to allow a server or multiple servers to access specific group of LANs. Great. So, and the LAN has an identifier which is called the LAN ID. So the LAN ID is a 2-digit identifier for each LAN on a storage system, and the LAN ID is similar to these. So the LAN 1, 2, and 3. The LAN ID is unique across a SAN storage system. It cannot be duplicated. Okay, and this identifies the LAN entity on the host. So you know, yeah, I have access to LAN 1, LAN 0, LAN 1, and LAN 2 on SAN storage A. Okay, but from the other side, on the host side, you could have multiple LANs being mapped to a host with the same LAN ID, because maybe again, you may have access from your host to multiple SAN storage systems. So if you have access to multiple SAN storage systems, it's common and it's usual that you may have duplicate LAN numbers, and don't bother about LAN numbering. They are used for the organizational purposes, to organize your LANs and access to your LANs. Great, so that's it for this lecture, and in the coming lecture we will have a look, we will be having an overview of the SAN fabric. We will have all of the parts, all of the components we've learned about in a single huge picture. Thank you, and see you in the coming lecture.